Well, hello, my Jedi friends, and today we discuss the question, are you a shapeshifter? A real-life shapeshifter. So we're going to cover what is a shapeshifter, what am I talking about? Is this Star Trek? Is this the next level, folks? Is it the next level of Star Trek? I ask you. Could it be? Could it be? Well, maybe, folks, just maybe. Who knows? So, why am I even recording this video and am I a Star Trek fan? Well, yes, I am a Star Trek fan, and certainly I had no other reference to shapeshifting outside of Star Trek until probably about 10 years ago. And one of my very close friends and spiritual mentors sat me down in the front of the class, and she was very receptive. She read energy, she understood my energy. She used to talk about my energy a lot, so it was very interesting. And one day she sat me in front of the class and said, "Here is Adam. He's a shapeshifter." And it absolutely blew me sideways. I'd never been referred to that. I'd never heard of the word shapeshifter any time outside of Star Trek, and it made me start questioning, what was it about my energy that made me a shapeshifter or made her to read me as a shapeshifter? And that sort of stayed with me because it's something that I never really pulled her up on and asked her why did she call me a shapeshifter, but it has made a lot of sense since she planted that seed all those years ago. So to me, what is a shapeshifter? Now, this is something that a lot of empaths, a lot of people who are highly sensitive can be a shapeshifter. And what does it mean to me? Well, for me personally, it means that having backpacked around the world and ended up in the favelas in Rio de Janeiro in some very dodgy situations, pretty much speaking or not speaking, not understanding, but being with gangsters, proper gangsters, people with guns, people that if you said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, it could go down a very different day. I may not even have been here recording this video. I've been in those circles, folks, and I've adjusted. I've also been in the House of Lords in the UK. I used to work with a lord, and so I used to cavort in the House of Lords, folks. And I'm not saying that to big myself up. I'm just saying it's a complete polar opposite. I'm telling you that because it's a complete polar opposite. And I adjusted to that situation as well, and everything in between. I've traveled around, I've been into some strange situations. I'm good at reading energy. And part of the shape-shifting journey for me, what's made me good at shape-shifting, and this is something we're going to alchemize a lot of the stuff that I've talked about before in the past. We've talked about trauma, and is trauma a trauma? Is it there to traumatize you, or is it your biggest gift? Now, this is part of the reason that we work through trauma, because when you get through to the other side, you start to see that your trauma has created personality traits which are your biggest gifts. Let me bring that alive to you. So, as some of you know, if you've watched my videos, you'll know that I grew up in a very unpredictable household to a narcissistic mother. And what that means to the layperson is as a kid, I didn't know what I was walking back into. Sometimes there'd be giggling and alcohol on parties and everyone's happy and it's all good. And other times I'd walk through the door and I'd get beaten and I wouldn't even know why. Wouldn't even know why, folks, sometimes. And that was just the reality of my life growing up. Now, it wasn't a regular occurrence in fairness to my mother. That wasn't a regular thing, but it was regular enough to put me on edge every time I walked in and to be very sensitive to situations and energies. And what that's done in life, now that I've worked through that trauma, is it's made me, growing up in that environment, has made me very sensitive to energies, and it's made me read rooms and situations better than most, better than most. I have a sixth sense. I can sense when things don't appear right or don't appear safe. And I can adjust very well to certain situations, folks. That's what it means. That's what shapeshifting is to me. And if you're an empath, you've probably got that as well. You're probably watching this because at some level you've been traumatized. Now, if you haven't worked through it, you're watching this video to get the wake-up call, maybe to give you the other side. If you have worked through it, then this will probably resonate very deeply with you and it will help with the healing process. So whether you're healed or not, folks, this is about understanding what shapeshifting is, understanding how it can be created, and also linking it probably to some of the most traumatic stuff that's happened. Because if you have a background of having to work through pain, abuse, trauma, and for the records, folks, I have to point out that this is not a substitute for therapy. This is just my slant on somebody that's been through it and has worked with people through this. So let's just throw that caveat right in. But what I have found is that from talking about this, from me talking about this stuff, from reaching my own realizations, through reaching my own conclusions, through reaching my own empowered learnings on this subject, I've been able to move through the pain and the trauma and the isolation of wondering, why the fuck did this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? Things that we've talked about on this channel. There's a process. You get traumatized, and then you have to go through this journey of asking why. What did you do to deserve it? There's a victim status there. We've all, I'm guessing, moved through it. Everyone has to go through the victim status to wake up. We ask why, we get traumatized, we ask why it happens, we go into victim mode, and then we either go down a dark spiral or we get an empowered learning. And this is the part of the process that's critical, folks. What voice do you listen to at this point? Now, I wasn't as fortunate because I didn't reach out for help. I had to go down a dark spiral for a long time to reach my awakening. And what's more lunatic about this is that I was surrounded by friends that could have helped me through it. But I felt, there was part of me felt, this is so fucked up that I need to work through it myself, or I can't even own up to it. There's all sorts of reasons that stops the empath from reaching out for help. And hopefully by you watching this video, maybe it will spark something within you that will resonate on this journey. Because the bottom line is, when you embrace your capacity as a shapeshifter, you can start to look at how you became a shapeshifter and maybe throw a bit more favorable energy on it. So, am I here grateful to my mum for that unpredictable outcome? No, I'm not grateful for it. I think it's completely fucked up. But do I forgive her for it? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And there's also another part of it, folks. It's beyond forgiveness. It's the knowing that I probably agreed to this pre-birth, that I created this set of circumstances to give me a set of superpower tools to go on and do what I came here to do, which is part education, it's part working through it, and it's part getting my message to you to help you on your journey. Because the people that get traumatized the most are the people usually with the biggest purpose. And they're the people I work with. They're the people that I am here for. I'm here to facilitate your journey. And in order for me to facilitate your journey, I had to go through my own and get traumatized. And let's be frank, folks, nobody really cares about what I've been through. And I know that you shouldn't have to. The only reason I tell these stories is because maybe you will recognize from my journey parts of your own. Parts of your own journey that resonate. Oh, yes, I did get traumatized. You got traumatized for a reason. You got traumatized to give you a set of sensitivity skills to make you good with people, to make you good with situations, and to make you adjust to life. And here we are, right back at the origins, folks. It is not the strongest of species that survived. It's the one that's the most adaptable to change, folks. And that's Darwin, straight out of Darwin. The shapeshifter is more adaptable. The shapeshifter is more likely to adjust. The shapeshifter is more likely to survive. It's maybe not the nicest of analogies, but the shapeshifter is the cockroach. Maybe you don't like cockroaches, but they're survivors, folks. They survive, they adjust, they adapt, they survive. And this is what you're here, folks. Maybe you can be a panda. Maybe that's a little bit more appealing than a cockroach. I'm not sure how well they do in the same environment and how resilient they'd be. Maybe you're the honey badger. Now they are resilient. They are badgers. So however way you want to identify with this, that your set of skills through your trauma, built through your trauma, are your biggest gifts in life. So this is the journey, and this is why we talk about shape shifting. It's the ultimate in shape shifting from being traumatized to being an empowered teacher or somebody that's changing the world in a positive way. You look at most of the people that made major change in the world, they had to be traumatized, whatever you're into. So let's talk about Gandhi, for example. Now, he had to be beaten, he had to be abused, he had to go through a whole host of terrible things in order to inspire people, to inspire change. Nelson Mandela, for example, had to do over 20 years in jail to get to a point where he was able to inspire change or to be inspired. And not only that, he was inspiring change before he went to jail, but the fact was he was prepared to go to jail to do it. Martin Luther King took a bullet for it. He knew that what he was saying was high risk, but he took a bullet. We go back in history, folks. We go back a bit further. Innovators, changers, people that rocked the apple cart all the way through history. None of them were handed a silver spoon. All of them had to go through massive trauma, massive battles. And it depends how lunatic you want to go. I mean, if we go back into history, at one stage, Genghis Khan was on his own in the desert. In the desert, were in a sandstorm, kicked out the tribe, just isolated himself, and went on to build a massive empire. Now, he was guilty of all sorts of not so nice things, folks. But the point being, even he had to be traumatized so that he could do that. And I'm not saying that what he did was a good thing. I'm just saying that it was trauma that formed it. Same with any great military leader. You look through all of them, they all had to be traumatized. Pretty much. They all had to be attacked. They all had to be traumatized. Everybody that's done anything, and not just the people that fought battles and armies, people that made major changes. So you had people like Louis Pasteur, a scientist. You scientists had to be traumatized through a whole set of life circumstances and watch people die. You had people that made changes. Nikola Tesla, for example, he applied what he had been traumatized with, and he was traumatized by people stealing his achievements, but he did it anyway. He did it anyway, folks. There's people, Mother Teresa went round hugging lepers. Now, history will say, and the history books will say, maybe she wasn't quite the angelic character that she was portrayed when you look at things like bank accounts and money, but that's a different conversation for another day. All humans are flawed at some level, folks, at some level. But the point being that the people that have to make major changes have to be adaptable. They have to be adaptable. And the only thing that prepares you for that level of adaptability is trauma. Trauma prepares you. That might not be the only thing, but it's certainly a big factor in it, folks. So at a big macro level, being traumatized gives you that shape-shifting ability to be able to adapt, to be able to adjust, to be able to shape-shift your way through whatever comes your way. Because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Could bring a crisis, could be a war to your doorstep, folks. Are you going to be able to survive that? Are you going to be able to adapt? Whatever happens in the life, in the world, in your life and your world, are you the person that can adapt to it? Can you adapt to change? Can you go into different environments and get by? And the odds are that people that backpack, that do a bit of travel, they're the shapeshifters. Probably a bit of trauma there that's led them to want to go and explore the world and spend time away from the dear family. That was certainly a motivation for me, folks. Made me travel a lot in my younger years. And maybe that's the case with you. So let's neatly fuse all of this shape shifting together. What is a central theme? Let's sum it up for you. That your trauma doesn't have to be your biggest problem. It can be your biggest gift, but you have to put in the work, folks, and you have to have the awareness. And if you don't have the awareness, that is the area that I work in. Just in case you're in any doubt, folks, in case you're wondering why you might be watching this channel, this is how I help. I help highly sensitive people wake up to this, wake up to claim their power, to take all of the stuff that may cause them to be a victim to empower themselves. Because every trauma is a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call, folks. Every setback, everything in life that doesn't work for us is a wake-up call. It's an adjustment. It's a chance for you to readjust and to pivot and to work out, well, maybe that's not where I'm meant to be. Maybe that's not what I'm meant to do. Maybe it is what I'm meant to do, but I need to be tested to test my commitment going forward to this. So it's about resilience, it's about focus, it's about purpose, folks. It's about purpose. And the person on a purposeful journey will normally have to take a lot of setbacks, which means that they will have had to have been exposed to trauma to build up their resilience. Otherwise, they'd get one setback and they'd change their mind and they'd do something else. You would change your mind and you would do something else. If you didn't have a track record of dealing with heavy duty shit, folks, heavy duty shit. And you can sit there with your pity party, or you can ask yourself the question, what is the universe asking me? What is the gift that I've got through going through all of this that's going to help me the most? Now, resilience is definitely going to be one of those gifts. Focus is another, because sometimes we have to be battered around to work out what we truly important for us, what's truly important for you. What should you be focusing on? How are you going to adjust? How are you going to shapeshift your energy to adapt to what it is that's facing you right now? Whatever difficulty on your path is facing you, you have the skills. You know that you can adapt. You know that you can adjust. You just need to believe in yourself a little bit more and take another step in the right direction. And you may fall flat on your face and you take another step and another and another and another, folks, because it's not about whether it's going to work or not. It's about what you're going to learn and how resilient you're going to be at picking yourself up and keeping going. And there, my friends, lieth the shapeshifter energy. We will adapt. We will take our trauma and turn it into something positive, and we will flow wherever the energy takes us. Flow wherever the energy takes you, folks. You will flow where the energy takes you, and you will feel more empowered because you are that shapeshifter. So the next time, if you're a Trekkie, if you're watching Star Trek, you'll realize that yes, you are the actual manifesting form of what it is actually like to shift your shape, to shift your shape. And you may not shift it physically, but mentally and energetically, you're always shifting your shape, my friends, my Jedi friends. And if you have got value out of this video, folks, and you're not already subscribed and you want more pieces of the jigsaw and you want to feel better and you want to wake up from your trauma and to feel better and to be more empowered, then I suggest you subscribe to the channel. If you want another piece in this complicated jigsaw, then it's sitting there just there. And either way, wherever you are led, however you go and however you feel, my Jedi friends, just know that the Force is with you always.